My child, not you to hear me frowned lifted, listen with your heart. You did not arrive at these words by accident, and this is not simply another message passing before your eyes. I brought you here because there is something I want you to hear right now. Before I speak about what lies ahead, let me speak to the place that has quietly carried so much. You have wondered whether I truly saw everything you endured, whether I noticed how difficult it became to keep moving when every step felt heavy. Hear me clearly, because I want this truth to settle deep within you. I saw every moment. I speak these words with both love and authority. You have come through the test, even though you never realized you were living inside one. No one applauded your quiet faithfulness. No one fully understood what it cost you to keep choosing the right path. And many never saw the battles you fought within your own heart. There were days when patience was stretched to its limit because nothing seemed to change. There were seasons when faith was tested because heaven answered with silence, and obedience asked you to remain faithful when walking away would have been far easier. Still, you kept reaching toward me. You kept believing even when weariness settled over you. Confusion clouded your thoughts, and tears became prayers that no one else ever heard. You did not let go of me, and I have never forgotten that. My child, I want you to hear me today. I want you to hear me today. But I want you to hear me today. Not what carrying has suddenly lifted been resolved. Not what whispered, Lord, how much longer, while the silence seemed endless. Do not mistake my silence for my absence. I was nearer than you could see, sitting with you in the places where no one else could reach. I watched the quiet choices you made when nothing around you appeared to change. I was shaping your heart, strengthening your spirit, and preparing you for what was still ahead. Stay with me here for a moment, because there is something deeper I want you to understand. My silence was never empty, it was filled with my presence. Now hear me plainly. Heaven has witnessed your faithfulness, and what has been formed within you is ready for what comes next. Because of that, I am asking something of you, and I am asking you to respond now. Before I tell you what that step is, let me remind you that I know how tired you have become. I know about the weight you carried without telling anyone. I saw the nights when your mind replayed conversations, fears, and decisions long after everyone else had gone to sleep. I saw the smile you offered others while your heart quietly carried sorrow. And I know what it feels like to stand in a crowd while loneliness settles deep inside. Never believe that those moments escaped my attention. I counted every tear that fell, even the ones you quickly wiped away before anyone noticed. I heard every prayer, including the ones you could not finish because your heart was too overwhelmed to find the words. I felt every hidden ache, and my love for you never weakened for a single moment. The season you walked through was never meant to crush you. It was preparing you. I was watching to see whether your heart would remain tender when life tempted it to grow hard, whether you would continue trusting me when the path offered few answers, and whether you would refuse the shortcuts that could have damaged what I was patiently building within you. What lies ahead requires a heart that has been refined, humbled, and strengthened through waiting. That is why the journey lasted longer than you expected. That is why the process carried pain, so the breakthrough would carry meaning. Listen carefully now, because these words matter. Do not let your thoughts drift away from this moment or dismiss what I am saying. What I ask of you is simple, though it will require courage. I am calling you to move forward without allowing fear to decide your steps. I am calling you to stop questioning what I have already confirmed within your heart. Take the next step I have been quietly placing before you, even if it seems small or uncertain. Do not wait for perfect circumstances, and do not wait for everyone else to understand before you obey. Do not convince yourself that you must feel completely ready before you begin. Move forward now, my child. Delay is what weakens what I am unfolding in your life. Fear will disguise itself as wisdom, and hesitation will whisper that waiting feels safer. Listen to my voice instead. This moment carries purpose, and obedience keeps that door open. I am not asking you to move recklessly. I am asking you to trust me completely. The step I am leading you toward will bring together things you cannot yet see. As you move, some doors will open, and others will quietly lose their hold over you. As you obey, what you need will meet you along the way, and peace will settle into your heart more deeply than before. Perhaps you are asking, what if I fail? What if I make the wrong choice? My child, you will never walk into this season by yourself. I go ahead of you. I remain beside you. I gently correct you when needed, and I guard you from what would truly harm you. You are stepping into what I have already prepared, and your willingness, not perfection, is what has made you ready. Now release what belongs to yesterday. There are habits, thoughts, fears, and even relationships that once felt familiar but now only make the journey heavier. I am not asking you to release them to wound you. I am inviting you to let them go because I desire your freedom. You cannot carry the weight of an old season into a new one. Trust me enough to place it in my hands, and I will replace that burden with peace, clarity, and renewed strength. If you are standing firmly on God's promises, comment, Amen. I'm unshakable in my faith. My child, let this truth settle gently into your heart. Everything you endured has brought you to this very moment. I am proud of you. You remained faithful when faith required endurance. You chose kindness when bitterness seemed easier, and you continued hoping when circumstances offered little reason to hope. Those quiet acts of faithfulness matter to me far more than you realize. Now is the moment to trust my voice more than the fears that have been speaking to your heart. This is the time to step out of the comfort that waiting can sometimes become and walk into the courage that obedience requires. This is the time to believe that I truly am who I have always said I am in your life. I am the one who meets you in your pain, but I am also the one who leads you into purpose, restores what has been lost, and opens doors that no one has the power to close. Leave regret behind and refuse to measure your journey against someone else's. Keep your eyes on me, remain close to me, speak with me, lean on me, and allow me to lead you one step at a time. You do not need every answer today. You only need to trust the one who already sees the whole path. My child, heaven is speaking to your heart at this very moment. This is not an empty coincidence. It is confirmation, it is direction, and it is my love speaking through truth. Heaven has witnessed your faithfulness, so now walk forward with confidence. Do what I have already been placing within your heart to do. Take that step with trust, with courage, and with the quiet assurance that I am beside you, and I will remain faithful to you. I love you, and I am proud of the person you have become through this season. What comes next will carry new meaning because you chose to listen when my voice called your heart. Come closer, my child, and listen carefully, because what I am about to tell you is understood by fewer people than you may realize. The season you walked through was a test, though there was no announcement when it began, no written instructions, no visible finish line, and no reward anyone else could see. That is why so many overlooked what you were carrying. Yet I never missed a single moment. I was never measuring how quickly you moved or how much strength you appeared to have. I was looking at your heart as you waited, obeyed, endured, and continued trusting me without visible proof. The first lesson was patience. You were asked to remain where you longed to move forward. You waited while your heart searched for answers, relief, change, or closure, and day after day the door seemed to remain closed. I saw every struggle inside you. I saw the questions that wondered whether waiting meant you had been forgotten. Still, you remained with me. You refused to force what I had not yet opened, and even when your heart grew restless, you learned to breathe, surrender another day into my hands, and wait again. That patience was never weakness. Quietly, it was becoming strength within you. Every time you chose peace over panic, trust over rushing, and faith over giving up, another part of that test was fulfilled. Then came the test of obedience. I asked you to take steps that did not always make sense through human understanding. Sometimes obedience meant remaining where you wanted to leave, and other times it meant leaving what felt familiar and safe. There were moments when silence honored me more than defending yourself, and moments when integrity cost you comfort because shortcuts seemed easier. No one celebrated those hidden decisions. Few people ever saw what obedience required from your heart when it demanded comfort, approval, or certainty. Yet I saw every quiet surrender. Obedience is rarely loud. It is often hidden, costly, and deeply personal. And you continued following me even without knowing where the path would lead. Then came endurance. This part of your journey stayed longer than you expected and felt heavier than you thought you could bear. You carried misunderstanding, delay, and pain that offered no easy explanation. There were moments when you whispered, "I cannot keep doing this," and yet somehow you found yourself standing again. It was never because your own strength was enough. I was holding you when yours had almost disappeared. Endurance does not mean a heart never grows weary. It means continuing to walk even while you are weary, and you kept taking those quiet steps. Finally came the deepest test of all, the test of faith. Faith when there was no visible sign. Faith when prayers seemed to disappear into silence. Faith when circumstances looked exactly the same and my quietness felt louder than my voice. You were tempted to believe nothing was changing, that your trust had been misplaced, or that your hope had been foolish. Even then you continued turning toward me. You still spoke to me. You still reached for me. You still held on to hope, even when it trembled. Faith has never meant living without questions. It means choosing me even while questions remain. And you chose me again and again. If this message has encouraged your walk with God, and you would like to help share it with others, you can support this work using the QR code or support link provided in the description. I know about the suffering you carried without telling anyone because you did not want to become a burden or risk being misunderstood. I saw the tears you brushed away before anyone noticed, and I heard the prayers you whispered when you wondered whether anyone was listening. I know what it felt like to keep moving while your heart felt empty. Your faithfulness was often invisible to everyone around you. You remained kind when bitterness tried to find a place in your heart. You remained gentle when anger would have been understandable, and you stayed faithful when walking away seemed easier. Those hidden acts of obedience mattered far more than you realized. There were times when you believed your efforts had gone unseen and wondered whether I was paying attention at all. Hear me now, my child. Not one moment was wasted. Not one tear escaped my notice. Not one quiet act of obedience disappeared from my sight. I was present in every unseen decision, every lonely stand, and every moment you chose to trust me instead of surrendering to fear. I was shaping your character, strengthening your spirit, and preparing you for what requires maturity, humility, and depth. Perhaps you never understood why that season lasted so long, why relief seemed delayed, or why the answers did not come when you hoped they would. A test is not meant to destroy what is true. It reveals what has taken root, what will endure, and what has lasting strength. I was never testing you because I expected you to fail. I allowed that season so you could begin to see what I had already formed within you. You are stronger than you once believed. Your faith reaches deeper than you realized. Your heart has become far more resilient than you ever imagined. Now is the moment to let my voice become louder than every fear that has been speaking to your heart. This is the season to step beyond the safety of waiting and embrace the courage that obedience requires. This is the time to believe that I truly am who I have always declared myself to be in your life. I am the God who comforts you when you hurt, but I am also the God who leads you into purpose, restores what has been lost, and opens doors that no one has the power to shut. Leave regret behind and refuse to measure your journey by someone else's. Keep your eyes fixed on me. Stay near me, speak with me, lean on me, and let me guide each step you take. You do not need to understand everything before you move forward. You only need to trust the one who already does. My child, heaven is speaking to your heart right now. This is not an ordinary moment or an empty coincidence. This is confirmation, this is direction, and this is my love speaking through truth. Heaven has witnessed your faithfulness, so walk forward in faith. Do what I have already been placing upon your heart. Take that step with trust, take it with courage, and take it knowing that I am with you, and I will remain faithful to you. I love you, and I am proud of you. What lies ahead will carry new meaning because you chose to listen when I called. Come closer, my child, and listen carefully, because what I am about to reveal is something many people never fully understand. The season you walked through was a test, though no one announced when it began. There were no written instructions, no clear timeline, and no visible reward waiting at the finish. That is why others never recognized what you were carrying. Yet I watched every moment. I was never measuring how fast you moved or how strong you appeared. I was looking at the condition of your heart while you waited, while you obeyed, while you adhered, and while you trusted me without visible proof. The first test was patience. You were asked to remain still when every part of you longed to move forward. You waited for answers, for change, for relief, and for closure. Yet the door remained closed far longer than you expected. I saw your struggle with impatience. I heard the questions you carried when you wondered whether waiting meant you had been forgotten. Yet you stayed. You did not run ahead of me, and you refused to force what was not yet ready. Even when your heart grew restless, you learned to breathe, surrender another day into my hands, and wait once more. That patience was never weakness, my child. Quietly and steadily it was becoming strength within you. Every time you chose peace instead of panic, trust instead of rushing, and perseverance instead of giving up, another part of that test was fulfilled. Then came the test of obedience. I asked you to do things that often made little sense to your natural understanding. Sometimes obedience meant staying when leaving seemed easier. Other times it meant leaving what felt comfortable and familiar. There were moments when remaining silent honored me more than defending yourself, and moments when integrity cost you comfort because compromise seemed simpler. No one applauded those decisions. Few people ever saw what it required to obey me when obedience demanded your comfort, your approval, or your certainty. But I saw every hidden choice. I saw you continue walking my path, even when it felt lonely. Obedience is rarely loud. More often it is quiet, costly, and unseen. Yet you kept following me without knowing where every step would lead. Then came the test of endurance. This was the season that seemed to stretch far beyond what you expected. The weight became heavy, the journey became long, and there were days when you wondered how much more your heart could carry. You endured misunderstanding, you endured delay, you endured pain that offered no clear explanation. There were moments when you whispered, "I cannot do this anymore." Yet somehow you stood up again. It was never because your own strength was enough. I was holding you when yours had nearly run out. Endurance is not the absence of weariness. It is continuing to walk while your soul feels tired, and you kept walking. Then came the deepest test of all, the test of faith. Faith when there was no visible sign. Faith when prayers seemed to disappear into silence. Faith when your circumstances appeared unchanged, and my quietness felt louder than my voice. There were moments when you were tempted to believe nothing was happening, that your trust had been misplaced, or that your hope had been in vain. Yet even while questions remained, you never completely turned away from me. You still spoke with me. You still reached for me. You still held on to hope, even when hope felt fragile. Faith has never meant living without questions. It means choosing me even when questions remain. And my child, you chose me again and again. If this message has strengthened your faith, and you would like to help share it with others, you can support this work through the QR code or the support link provided in the description. I know about the suffering you carried quietly because you did not want to burden anyone or risk being misunderstood. I saw the tears you wiped away before anyone noticed, and I heard the prayers you whispered when you wondered if anyone was listening. I know what it felt like to keep moving while your heart felt empty inside. You obeyed me in ways no one else ever recognized. You chose kindness when bitterness invited you to give in. You remained gentle when anger would have seemed justified. You stayed faithful when walking away appeared much easier. Those unseen acts of obedience have always mattered more than you realize. There were moments when you felt overlooked. There were days when you questioned whether your faithfulness had accomplished anything, or whether I was paying attention at all. Hear me now, my child. Not one moment was wasted. Not one tear escaped my notice. Not one quiet act of obedience was forgotten. I was present in every unseen decision, every lonely stand, and every moment you trusted me instead of surrendering to fear. I was shaping your heart, strengthening your spirit, and preparing you for what requires maturity, humility, and depth. Perhaps you never understood why that season lasted so long, why relief seemed delayed, or why the answers did not come when you hoped they would. A test is never meant to destroy what is genuine. It reveals what is real, what has taken root, and what will endure. I was never testing you because I expected you to fail. I allowed that season so you could begin to recognize what I had already formed within you. You are stronger than you once believed. Your faith reaches deeper than you realized. Your heart has become more resilient than you ever imagined. There were moments when loneliness settled so deeply into your heart that you questioned whether anyone truly knew you. You felt almost invisible, as though your presence made little difference and your absence might never be noticed. Even surrounded by people, you carried the feeling of standing behind a pane of glass, watching life continue while you remained on the outside looking in. My child, loneliness has never meant you were unloved. It revealed a heart longing for a closeness that reaches beyond what human words alone can provide. In those quiet moments when you believed no one saw you, I was nearer than you realized, leaning close and listening to every unspoken cry your heart could not put into words. I know the questions that kept circling through your mind. I know how often you searched for reasons, trying to understand why certain doors closed without explanation, and why your prayers seemed to disappear into silence. You examined your own heart, wondering whether you had missed something or somehow failed me. My child, there is no shame in confusion. It is part of learning to walk by faith when your eyes cannot yet see what I am doing. Feeling lost never meant you were broken. It meant you were learning to trust me beyond your own understanding. Waiting became a heavy burden for you. You waited for change, for clarity, for relief, and for even the smallest sign that something was happening where you could not yet see. Time seemed to move slowly, and there were days when it felt as though your own life had paused while everyone else continued moving forward. You asked me why the waiting lasted so long, why the answers seemed delayed, and why your heart grew so weary. My child, waiting was never punishment, and it was never rejection. It became the place where I held you close, protected you, and quietly worked in ways that remained hidden from your eyes. Do not carry shame because this season affected you so deeply. Do not convince yourself that you should have been stronger, calmer, or able to hide your pain more successfully. Your pain never needed permission to be real, and it never needed to be compared with anyone else's to matter. What wounded you truly hurt, and I never dismissed that reality. I never expected you to pretend everything was fine. I never asked you to hide your tears behind a smile. I welcomed your honesty, even when it came through trembling faith and words that barely left your lips. If this speaks to your heart, say, Amen. I'm stepping into my season of favor. There were days when you spoke to me and felt only silence in return. There were moments when my voice seemed distant and my presence appeared hidden, and you wondered whether my silence meant I was disappointed in you, or whether you had drifted too far away. My child, my silence was never distance. It was my nearness expressed in a way you had not yet learned to recognize. I remained with you in the quiet, steady, and faithful. When your emotions faded and doubts became louder, I did not leave. I remained exactly where I had always been. I watched you continue through ordinary days while your heart carried extraordinary weight. I saw you show kindness when your strength was almost gone. I want you to hear priorism, fulfill your responsibilities, and care for others while your own soul felt empty. Those ordinary moments mattered deeply to me, because they became quiet acts of love shaped through hardship. You were never weak because you felt tired. Your strength was revealed because you continued, and every step you took, I walked beside you. I understood the prayers you could not finish, and the words that remained caught inside your heart. I understood the sighs, the silence, and every pause where language could go no further. You never needed perfect words for me to hear you. I knew your heart before your lips could speak. I heard you when you were angry, when you were grieving, when confusion filled your thoughts, and even when you were too exhausted to feel anything at all. My understanding of you has never changed. My child, as moments when an unexpected calm settled over you were never your imagination. That quiet peace that suddenly interrupted the middle of your storm was my gentle reminder that you were never facing it alone, even when your feelings could not recognize my presence. I was holding you steady. I was the quiet hand beneath you when your strength gave way, keeping you from falling apart when you believed you could not continue. One day you may look back on that season and remember only how tired you felt. You may struggle to see strength in those memories, because all you remember is weariness. I see something different. I see courage that was formed where no one else could see it. I see trust that remained even when comfort disappeared. I see love that stayed alive when life became difficult. I see a heart that kept reaching toward me even while uncertainty remained. That means more than you know. Release the thought that your pain ever pushed me away. It never did. It drew me closer. I do not turn away from broken hearts. I move toward them. I do not ask you to heal yourself before coming to me. I meet you exactly where you are. I remained with you through every tear, every lonely night, every confusing moment, and every season of waiting. I never left you, not even once. Even now, as you receive these words, I am with you. I am not rushing your healing, measuring your progress, or growing impatient with your journey. I am gentle with your heart. Rest here with me for a moment. Breathe deeply and release the fear that you have ever been alone. You no longer need to carry that weight by yourself. My child, I am with you in the silence just as surely as I am with you when the answers come. I am with you in the waiting just as faithfully as I am with you in the breakthrough. I am with you in your tears just as completely as I am with you in your joy. Nothing about your struggles separated you from my presence, and nothing about your pain caused me to step away. I remained with you then, I am with you now, and I will continue to remain with you. Now listen carefully, my child, because what I am about to share will bring understanding to what once felt unfair, confusing, and painfully heavy. The season you walked through was never random, and it was never intended to harm you. It was necessary, not because I question your faithfulness, but because of what I am preparing you to carry. Greater responsibility requires a deeper heart, and greater blessing requires stronger roots. I could not place what is coming into your hands until I had first prepared you to carry it without being crushed beneath its weight. You wondered why the road felt so narrow, why the burden seemed so heavy, and why the journey lasted far longer than you expected. My child, everything I place into your hands carries purpose, influence, and responsibility. My blessings are never meant to be enjoyed without care. They are gifts entrusted to you so they may be stewarded with wisdom and faithfulness. I needed to see that when new doors opened before you, you would enter them with humility rather than pride. I needed to know that when my favor rested upon your life, you would remember the one who carried you through the long seasons of waiting. I needed to know that when others looked to you for guidance, you would lead with love instead of self-importance and with wisdom instead of haste. Preparation rarely looks like celebration. More often it looks like quiet endurance, faithful obedience when no one is watching, and patient trust when every reward seems delayed. During that season, I was strengthening you for moments that would reach beyond your own life. Moments when your choices would influence others, your words would carry weight, and your actions would shape more than your own future. Had I placed those responsibilities into your hands before your heart was ready, they would have become a burden too great to carry. What I delayed was never withheld out of harshness. It was guarded by my love. Some blessings arrive too early and become burdens instead of gifts. Some opportunities appear beautiful on the surface, yet they quietly damage a heart that has not finished growing. I have seen how sudden success without preparation can give birth to pride, exhaustion, and eventual collapse, and I would not allow that to become your story. I protected you from shortcuts that would have cost you your peace, your integrity, and your closeness with me. There were doors I allowed to remain closed, not to punish you, but to preserve you until the right time arrived. My child, as round you as all, was a weight to have touched the heart. It quietly persuades people that they no longer need guidance, dependence, or my direction. Because I love you, I would not allow those roots to grow within you. That is why I allowed seasons when you felt overlooked, small, and dependent upon me. Those hidden seasons taught your heart to listen more carefully, to pray more deeply, and to seek my wisdom before trusting your own understanding. Humility was not born from losing everything. It was formed as you discovered where your true strength has always come from. The testing also shielded you from dangers you could not yet see. There were roads you wanted to travel that would have led into harm. There were opportunities that looked promising but carried consequences hidden beneath the surface. There were relationships and places that slowly would have stolen your peace, weakened your identity, and pulled you away from your purpose. When you believed I was delaying you, I was often protecting you instead. Refining is rarely comfortable, but it is always intentional. I was never punishing you for your failures. I was shaping you for what lies ahead. Punishment exists to inflict pain, but refinement removes what would eventually wound you. Throughout that season, I gently revealed attitudes, attachments, and patterns that could not continue into the future. I was preparing for you. It was never because you lacked value. It was because you were becoming someone greater than you had been before. Gold is refined because it is precious, not because it is worthless. Fire simply reveals what does not belong. In the same way, the pressure you experienced exposed the things that needed to fall away: dependence on approval, fear of rejection, the desire to control every outcome, and the habit of doubting yourself. Those things were never your identity. They only clung to you, and the testing loosened their grip so you could move forward lighter, freer, and stronger. My child, I was shaping a heart gentle enough to hear my voice and strong enough to lead others well. I was teaching you how to wait without surrendering your hope, how to obey without immediate reward, and how to trust without needing constant reassurance. These were never small lessons. They became the foundation of a life that can carry blessing without losing its direction. That season taught you to value my voice above every distraction, my timing above urgency, and my will above temporary comfort. Perhaps it seemed as though things were being taken away from you one by one, that I was making room for what I would one day place into your life. I was clearing away what would compete with my purpose, simplifying your heart and teaching you that your wholeness has always been found in me. What remains today is stronger than what had to be released. I know there were moments when you questioned my ways and wondered whether I had been too hard on you. Hear me now with clarity and love. I was never punishing you during that season. I was training you, protecting you, and preparing you. Every part of your journey was measured. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was meant to break you. It was building within you what comfort alone could never produce. Now you are ready to carry what once would have overwhelmed you. You are ready to receive blessing without becoming prideful. You are ready to lead without becoming harsh. You are ready to walk in my favor while keeping humility close to your heart. That is why the testing was necessary. That is why it required time. And that is why this season has now come to its end. My child, what lies ahead will require the wisdom you have gained, the depth that has been formed within you, and the humility that quietly grew where no one else could see it. Walk forward with confidence in this truth. I refined you because I trust what I have formed in you. I prepared you because I love you. I protected you because your future has always mattered more to me than your temporary comfort. Now listen carefully, my child, because this moment carries greater significance than you realize. What I am placing before you is not for another day, another season, or some future version of yourself that feels more prepared. It is for now. Do not delay in your heart, and do not postpone your response. I am calling you to move, not in fear or confusion, but in trust. The season of hesitation has come to its close. The season of faithful response has begun. If God's word is the anchor of your heart, type Amen. I trust every promise written for me. Then share this video with someone who may need this encouragement.